Let's meet the people who are taking care of your roadways during the winter. I'm meteorologist Joe Martucci here at the Press of Atlantic City, and it is time for the Something in the Air podcast, coming to you the first and third Wednesdays of every month here over at pressofac.com, on our YouTube channel, and wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for joining us here during the month of December. Happy holidays to you all. And like I said, we are talking about roads. We're talking about winter. We had our winter forecast in the middle of last month, and we're going to talk to the two people who helped to make the world go a little bit smoother here in Atlantic County. We have Greg Brookins, department head for the Atlantic County Department of Public Works, and Jay Steinmetz, supervising engineer for the Atlantic County Department of Public Works. Gentlemen, it is good to be with you here today.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
And I love chatting with you guys. We always do some kind of story once, we'll say November or December, talking about the winter ahead. Let's start off with this one, and maybe we'll go around the room here. We'll start off with this. Fill in the blank. Last winter was blank at the Atlantic County Department of Public Works.
Last winter was a non-starter. Was it good?
I like that one. Jay?
I think last winter was just great. We got a lot of other work done.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too, because it's not like the Department of Public Works is just sitting around all winter. They are doing other things here. Let me ask you this: was there a point in the winter where you were like, I just don't think it's going to snow anymore for the rest of the winter? I think we're calling it quits here.
I didn't think so. I always want to be ready, and we've gotten snow early, we've gotten snow late. I've been in those situations. It's not over until there's music.
That's right. Do you guys sing afterwards? Like in April, you guys do karaoke or something?
Yeah, but not in tune.
Not in tune. That's right. I'm not in tune either. Why don't we do this? We'll just go around and just quickly tell us a little bit about yourselves. Are you from South Jersey? How long have you been with the Department of Public Works for? Greg, we'll start off with you.
Yes. I'm right here from the Pleasantville, Atlantic City area, and I've been with the county since '82. Started off in the fleet division through the various positions, and worked my way up through to the Department of Public Works. And
Sure.
Have a great team here, and just enjoy working with everybody. We have a really dedicated group of guys that love what they do and get the job done.
Okay, I'm Jay, and I've been working for the county for 10 years in Atlantic County. Before that, worked for some consultants in this area. So I've been in the Jersey area for almost 20 years and served many municipalities in that time. And before that, I had some experience in the Midwest and Indiana, where you get the lake effects coming off. So you deal with that, where you shift degrees. 30 degrees in one day. You can go from freezing and you can't even breathe till take your coat off. So that's our background.
I'm guessing, are you saying maybe is winter weather a little more challenging out there in the Midwest?
It's cold.
It's cold. It's cold. Yeah, exactly. It's not. We're a little milder here. Just let us know, let everybody know who's listening, how large is your crew and how many plows do you have? How many plows can be ready to go during a winter storm?
I'll answer that.
Yeah.
Joe, our system is broken up into 33 zones. So each zone is a truck, and we have drivers for that, and we kind of tune it each year depending on the equipment. This year we're fortunate enough, we've got 6 brand new large pieces of dump trucks, and also in addition 6 smaller pieces we call mini dumps. But they serve different parts of the zone as they're broken up by their characteristics. We generally try and limit them to the mileage, to what coverage that truck can do, what its capacity is, and the things that it has to work around. But and generally it's managed from in 2 large zones, east and west, and each of those districts have 2 smaller districts. And then we're tuning the districts this year to try and pay attention to our larger volume, physically large highways, treating that with special equipment.
Gotcha. All right. So, your job obviously revolves a lot around the weather. And just tell us, like, where are you getting your weather information from? And you don't even have to say me. I won't even be offended. But where do you usually get your weather information from? Whether it's a, 75 and sunny degree day, or more importantly, hey, we got snow coming in 24 hours.
Yeah, well, we use multiple sources, but we do have a subscription with a contract provider that gives us daily forecasts. And then if there's a storm forecasted, we get special notices to alert us that the storm is coming. And then we get updates on the severity of it and intensity and things of that nature. So in addition to that, of course, we watch the same thing that the traveling public watch. We watch the different news forecasts and also different things off the internet from the various meteorologists that provide this information.
Sure. Yeah, and there's, just to go off on a side note, the snow and ice industry is a market. In meteorology, I always like to talk about different sectors of meteorology, and consulting meteorology, which is what you were describing with your contract service provider, which is what I used to do before, is very helpful for you guys as well. But, let me ask, are you guys, I know you have to pay attention to weather for your jobs. Are you guys like weather geeks inside? Do you guys actually like the weather, or is it just something you have to put up with for the job?
I think it's a little bit of both. we have to, like you said, we have to kind of follow it to be prepared. And I know that Jay, quite often when we're talking about pending events, talks about the different things that he's checked out and different people that he's followed, because of some of the past successes that they've had and correctly predicting what's coming our way.
Sure. And, with part of that is always looking like way ahead. So, it's December now. We're obviously in the middle of, or we're just starting winter, we'll say. But, when does the prep for winter season begin for you guys? Do you guys have like a first meeting where it's like, all right, let's take inventory of our salt, of our plows, or just how does that process go? When does that start and how does it go?
It starts with the end of the last season. So we'll take inventories of what we have, what equipment that may need repairs and things like that, and follow that throughout the summer. And then in the fall, we start telling the guys, run your equipment, make sure, write up what needs to be done throughout the fall. We'll maintain the plows, paint them or grease them, and get ready for the winter. And then also at that time this year, we have a meeting with our supervisors, managers, and we get together and look at our zones and see what needs to be changed in that area so we can document that and get that back out to the drivers in time so that they know what's in their zones. They know there might be a manhole cover here and there. Lift your plow, watch your tracks as you're going over that. And then we sort of have like coming in, usually normally you expect a warm-up session after Thanksgiving or into December. You get some brushings. And then the Happy New Year comes, and it might be the same week for 3 weeks in a row. Snow's on Wednesday, go out, you plow till Friday morning, you keep the skeleton crews out. Yeah. Then Monday and Tuesday, you fix it, the trucks, and get them ready. We make our orders, and it starts all over again.
Right. It kind of sounds like to me, are there certain days of the week you rather it snow?
On company time, I wish it would.
Yeah. So you'd like a nice, like maybe Monday through Friday, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like a good time for snow.
And not on holidays.
Not on holidays. I'm trying to think, when we go, I'm trying to think of recent winters. Have we had any kind of big snow? We've had a couple of President's Day snows. I'm trying to think. Have you guys had to do anything for Christmas lately? Christmas or New Year's?
I don't think so. Not lately.
No.
Not lately, right? I think back to 2018, and we had that relatively big storm we had on January, I believe it was 3rd or 4th, but maybe you guys weren't prepping on New Year's Day for that. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was the weekend. It was like the Friday snow, and it brought 10 to 18 inches along the shore. It was actually less as you went towards Hamilton. But that was our last big one here. What? I'm sorry?
It iced over at the end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, it did. Yeah, it got very cold at the end. And that was the whole stretch of really cold weather. We had the polar vortex come down, something we'll watch out for around the turn of the new year again this year. Just a let you guys know, we could get into a pretty chilly pattern around the turn of the new year. But, once winter gets going, what's the morale like? Like, can you compare the morale of, let's say now, early December compared to, March? Are you guys excited to take it on?
Well,
What's kind of the vibe that's going on at the DPW?
You gotta realize who you're talking to. The drivers can't wait for the snow. They're just happy. I mean, this is great for them to get out. They love it.
Yeah. Yeah. But how about for you guys?
Not so much.
It depends. We won't get into that. We'll let that go. I want to bring up a couple of recent snows. I want you I don't know if you have a story for me, but just tell me how it went. And the one I'm thinking about was at the at the end of 2018, we had that snow where Brigantine had about 8 inches, but if you got down towards like Buna, barely even an inch. Do you remember this one? It was a very sharp cutoff where it was really like Brigantine out to Pleasantville had 6 to 8 inches, but Buna had less than an inch. You got over towards Weymouth, it was less than an inch. It was a very narrow one. In fact, Tom's River had no snow and Cape May had no snow. It was just our area. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I don't recall that one.
No?
No. But
All right,
I have seen similar ones like that. Thinking about our parks and sidewalk guys. Sometimes the ones out in the western county area, like Estill Manor, Hamilton Township, they'll be buried and really digging into trying to get things straightened out. And then we'll call over to our guys in the city, and they're saying we're still waiting. We don't see anything. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah. You guys know that rain snow line very well. I would say any coastal DPW has that, but especially down here in Cape May County. I mean, what are just some of just kind of elaborate on that? Like, can you think of any one particular moment that really stood out where like, oh my God, Hamilton's like heavy snow, but you go to Longport or Margate or Atlantic City and it's really just been raining. Any specific times come to mind?
Nothing specifically, but I think that has happened. Not one. There was. I don't. But I believe that has happened. Or we have nothing here and a lot there.
Yeah, it's just all the coastal influence. I mean, it's one of the great nice things about being specifically at the shore is that if you're not a snow lover, you do pretty good during the winter. It's not as snowy, but Greg, you've been here since 1982. So you're almost at 40 years, right? So congratulations on that. What's the one most notable moment you've had, when it's come to winter storms? What's the biggest one you think you've tackled over the 38 years that you've been part of DPW?
It's hard to say. I mean, after a few years, they all start to run together.
They all blend together. Yeah. Do you remember Storm Jonas back in 2014?
Yes.
Yeah. What was that like? For everybody listening on your end.
That was interesting because we had some electrical problems where the power in our maintenance garage, our fleet garage, got knocked out, and then we had to kind of get emergency contractors over to get that taken care of all at the same time while keeping the operation moving and clearing the roads. So there's always, a different challenge. Every storm seems to be a little bit different than the previous.
Sure. Yeah. And that will always be true as we go forward in time. South Jersey always likes to bring us the kitchen sink of weather. So that will be no different in the future. What we're going to do is we're going to take a brief break. And then the other side, we're going to come back and we're going to ask them some questions that you might have about snow plowing here in South Jersey. This is the Something in the Air podcast. And we're back. This is a Something in the Air podcast brought to you by the Press of Atlantic City. Join with me, Greg Brookins and Jay Steinmetz of the Atlantic County DPW. Guys, thanks again for being with us here. And what we're going to do for this half is we're going to go through some questions that I think most of the general public has when it comes to plowing roads here in the area. But first, what I'll do is I'm going to ask you this question. What do you think is a common misconception that we all have about snow and ice and clearing the roads and the sidewalks that you guys know, but we just don't know?
that it's fun.
That's fun. That's good. That's a good one. Yeah, I'm sure the hours, of course, can be whenever whatever they are. But I guess I have to imagine it's fulfilling when at the end of the storm, you guys are cleaning up, and it just feels like it's a job well done, right? Job accomplished.
Most certainly, most certainly, and the majority of them start late and end in the wee hours of the morning. So that can be a little bit trying.
Sure.
But it's something that needs to be done, so we do what we need to do to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into a couple of these questions here, and I think these are questions that can all be answered. But my first question for you guys is, why is brine on the roadways when it's not going to snow for 2 days? And what does brine even mean anyway?
Do you want to take that, Jerry? You want me to take
Sure. And 2 days is great. It allows, among other things, it allows the time to get it out. But what it does, it won't go off the roads if it's not raining. So it'll stay there, and once it starts precipitating and snowing, it immediately goes to work and tries to melt it. And that really helps us later on in the storm. It extends the life. It won't freeze, and it'll give us some time to bring our crews in if we have to call them in. We can wait a little bit until the timing is a little bit better for us to get out there. But 2 days for us is a really good time. Unfortunately, the last year, with it raining almost in every event last year, we have 8-9 events last year for us on our books. It was raining, and that doesn't always go in your favor, because it would rain so much it would wash it off.
Right.
So if we get 2 days to brine, that's a good situation for us.
Yeah.
We can get ready. That saves us a lot of work to do that.
Gotcha. And just explain for everybody what. Or go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, jump in.
Yes. What is brine? Brine is a mixture of water and rock salt. The water is run through a bed of rock salt to a concentration of 23.3%. And it's applied to the road by spraying through a spray bar. And when the water evaporates, it leaves a residue on the road, which the main function is it prevents the ice or snow from bonding to the road. And then it kind of buys us time. If you have an event that starts and we haven't come in yet, that brine will actually start melting that snow and help us get ahead of the storm. And if the storm intensifies, then we can move on to the next phase of applying rock salt or plowing if it gets that heavy.
Gotcha. And this is going to lead into the next question here, which is, what the heck is rock salt anyway? And are there other kinds of salt that you guys use?
No, the rock salt is calcium chloride, and we use it in its natural form. There are other chemicals out there, but the rock salt in its solid form is what most plow operations use for applying to the road. There are other chemicals that's added to it. The rock salt itself is good down to about 15 degrees, and then it starts to lose some of its effectiveness. If magnesium chloride can be added to it, either sprayed on the loads when you're loading the truck on each load, or applied to the spreader on the trucks that are equipped with that setup, as the salt is being spread onto the road. And that takes it down to be effective to about minus 17 degrees.
Right. And we never get to minus 17 degrees here in South Jersey. That'd be a very rare day in South Jersey history. We may have some bigger issues on our hand if we get down to negative 17. All right, next question. It's going to rain first and then start to accumulate snow. How will I make sure that the roads are safe?
Well, like Jay said earlier, if it rains first, then we don't use the brine, because the rain would simply wash that, dilute that salt residue to make it ineffective, or simply just wash it away. If it does rain, so that would mean that it's above freezing temperatures. If the temperatures were forecast to drop down to freezing or below, we would be be on standby and ready and prepared to start applying salt at the right time to start dealing with that situation.
Right. Would there ever be a time where you would go just from, raining and then you just start plowing without the salt? Has that happened before?
It's rare because even if it's going to be an event that is going to have a sizable accumulation, we still would want the salt down to prevent that bonding from the road, which will assist in the plowing operation later on in the operation.
Gotcha. All right. Next question is, I remember a time where they used to use sand to gain traction on the roads, but that doesn't happen anymore. What's changed?
Well, I think that environmentally it wasn't the best solution. With it silting up the shoulders, and then the second concern was that you would have such a mess to clean up after the event. So I think that most agencies got away from the sand or the treated sand solution.
Right. All right. And then we'll go with the last question here. How come my road still isn't plowed? It's been a few hours since it snowed.
Well, there's a pecking order there that there's primary roads which carry a lot more traffic than some of the ancillary roads. So there's primaries and there's secondaries, and that's in each zone that we recognize those and try and spread those out with the equipment that we have.
Could you give us an example of a primary road and an auxiliary road, and you can pick the town?
Tuckahoe would be perhaps one, and
okay.
Jimmy Leeds.
Yes, Jimmy Leeds, Fire Road, Tilton, for sure, out by the airport. In fact, we put what's called a wing plow on Tilton Road all the way down, and as Greg said, this year Jimmy Leeds that has been widened and carries the traffic to the hospital up there, runs all the way through. That's an important one. Delilah is an important one.
There are different triggers. Hospitals, shore evacuation routes, routes that emergency responders for where their bases are located. Major routes that lead to state highways, so to keep the traffic moving, keep those arteries open. So again, there's a pecking order.
All right. Great job with those questions. We'll get out of that, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the weather as we wrap up here. So I think one of the things that's important to talk about is the improvement of weather forecasts over time, and people shifting expectations over time. And that's true for a lot of things with the weather. People ask me on Monday what it's going to be like on Saturday, but just over your decades of working in public works, what are the improvements that you've seen in weather forecasting? And then have you noticed a difference in expectations from the people as well, from the residents or travelers, when it does come to snow events?
Well, they want their roads cleared now.
Right.
So we try and accommodate them. We try and go for trying to get them within 48 hours. But as far as I'm really appreciative of all the tools that the business has offered us. You're talking temperature, wind speed, wind direction, humidity, all over the county, different spots, not just out at the airport or in the city. You've got all kinds of areas, a lot more information coming in. Is really, I'm really appreciative of that.
Greg, I'll ask you, so when you first started here in 1982, what was the weather forecasting like when it came to winter storms? Were you guys paying attention to it, and what kind of information did you get from that?
Yeah, well, of course we were paying attention to it, and the department head that I had at the time, he was a bit of a weather bug, so it seemed to be a bit of a hobby for him, and that was a great plus because he took the lead on it and followed it. And did some predictions on his own, and I got to admit that he was pretty good at it. So with that and comparing, the forecast from one, meteorologist to the next and seeing what's out there, it's all been a progression. And with all of the technology that's improved, it has just made the whole situation better.
Got it. Okay. So it's always been pretty steady for you guys. How about you, Jay? When you first were starting, what were the weather forecasts like for a snow event for you guys? How far out did they go? How detailed were they?
Well, the forecast was the police would call and say there's snow out there, you better come.
Got it. So
it's single sourcing, and we may have seen, especially if there's something big coming in, we had okay amount of time to prepare. One storm in my life, I had 24 pieces of equipment. All 24 were available. We knew it was coming, and they were gassed and ready to go when the drops came down. So all we had to do is you just nudge us, we'll get up and get out there.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm glad it's been a positive experience with the weather for you guys. So that's always good. We'll turn towards this winter, and we said this in our winter forecast with Jim Sullivan from WeatherWorks, who you guys, I don't think you guys said it, but that's who you contract with WeatherWorks for some of your providers. But it looks to be a season where, December into early January, that's really going to be our time for, we'll say, plowable snow, the bigger snows. And then after that, snow is going to be, I would say, pretty hard pressed. So, given that information, what does that kind of tell you, for the winter ahead for you guys? I know you guys are always ready, always prepared. But, when you think back, have you had some winters where it's been, early snow and then kind of been tame for the rest of the winter? Can you think back on that? And just, what do you think operations will be like for the winter ahead?
Well, definitely good news, from the last winter and hearing this about this winter. I don't think our preparation changes much either way. We prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And then we have the all of those events that come our way that start off and you don't realize how it's going to end up. It could be just a little precip that falls, and you're afraid that those bridges and bridge tops and raised surfaces and curves are going to get slippery. So you got to get out there and pre-treat those or treat them once they start to get a little black ice on them. So even though we don't see a lot of snow accumulation, it doesn't stop us from having to get out there and make the road safe.
Awesome. Well, hey, this was fun. This was great. I'm glad we got to speak with you both, and I'm glad we got to get some questions out of the way about what the winter will be like ahead and just operations. I thank you guys, for your service that you guys do. I feel like a lot of times it's a job that maybe doesn't get a lot of thanks, but I'm certainly appreciative of it. I know you guys are working around the clock and working hard. So Jay and Greg, thank you again for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So this is the Something in the Air podcast brought to you by the Press of Atlantic City. We will be back with you in the new year, 2021. We will be with Dr. Dave Robinson, the New Jersey State climatologist. We're going to wrap up the month that was. We're also maybe going to have a bonus episode for you on the top 10 weather events of 2020. Not sure if we're going to get to that one, but we'll definitely do the wrap up for December. Maybe we'll get you the top 10. In the meanwhile, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. Hope everyone stays safe, and we'll be back with you in 2021. This is Something in the Air podcast. Take care, everybody.